Robert Francis said that the main people who were responsible for what happened at Stafford Hospital were the board of the trust. And so what we've said is where boards deliberately conceal bad things that are happening in their trust, there will be criminal sanctions. So that is, I think, a pretty stiff message to send out about accountability. But it isn't just that.
Well, doesn't it go all the way to the top, beyond the board? And of course there's the difficulty, because beyond the board was Sir David Nicholson.
Well, it goes to the whole system. And Sir David Nicholson was one of many managers and indeed ministers who failed to spot over 50 warning signals that should have alerted people to the problems that happened in mid-staffs. I don't happen to believe that he was personally responsible for what happened, but he does share that wider responsibility. He's apologised for that.
But nonetheless, the Francis report speaks of a bullying culture. You're now encouraging a candour culture. Can the same man who was on deck during a bullying culture now preside over a candour culture?
Well, David Nicholson, when it comes to patient safety, has led the campaign against, for example, MRSA, which are now at their lowest levels since records started. He's led the campaign to reduce waiting lists, which has saved many thousands of lives. And because I don't think he was personally responsible, I think he has a very big part in introducing the changes that I've announced today. But let me say one thing about what happened then, because he was actually in charge of 50 hospitals, and there were these warning signals. What we've announced today is a structure whereby it's impossible for those warning systems to happen without the system being forced to deal with them. So when the new Chief Inspector identifies that there are failings in basic standards, people not being treated with dignity, people not being given water, people not being given food when they need it, the hospital will have a fixed period of time to deal with it. And if they fail, ultimately the board of the hospital will lose their jobs. And that's a really important change, that we don't end up tolerating failure and breaches of patient safety year in, year out. And that's one of the key things.